There we go. I think that worked because my mic's come back on as usual. Right. So. It is saying live in the corner, but we are not live. We are recording because we promised Mantic that we wouldn't send this out until Friday, and it's not going out until Friday.
Are we in the past right now, then?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well in the past.
We're speaking to the future.
I could drink as much of this single malt as I want, and it won't give me a hangover because that will be in the past. So I won't care.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly.
I like it.
I'm not entirely sure that's how it works.
I don't know.
But it's worth finding out, Dan.
It's
absolutely worth finding out.
I'm sure we'll be fine. I'm sure we'll be fine. So anyway, joining me this evening is Jan, Dan, and John. And what we're going to do
as well. We've got a boss.
Yes, I know, but obviously my name's up there anyway, and you're all sitting below me, University Challenge style. What we're going to be doing on this special Trollcast, it's nothing to do with games, is yes, we're looking at Cock 22 to be precise. For our 4 armies, as shown on the picture there, we've got Jan's going to be talking about her beloved Night Stalkers, Dan's going to be talking about Undead, John talking about the Varangir, and me about the glorious Free Dwarfs. What we're going to do is we will run through some of the Cock updates, which each army has. We'll then discuss what that's going to do for our armies, for our play style. Then we're going to have a general discussion about what each other thinks of that idea, and hopefully from that you'll get to know some spoilers and what we're expecting to happen with the armies over the coming year, the coming season of the tournaments. I've been nominated to go first by me because I'm in charge. So what I'm going to do,
you are
rushing straight in. If I can actually find the cursor, I shall change that to that. You see, look at this. This is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
I spent
technology.
I spent an hour and a half at work today sorting all this out when I should have been counting people's money. But there we go.
Cheers, Bob.
Hopefully nobody from work watches YouTube. So, Free Dwarfs. Anybody who's seen my Free Dwarf army knows that it's a lot of badgers. This is probably going to change next year with the advent of the lovely new Berserkers. Normally the Free Dwarf list takes its Berserkers from the Dwarf list. As part of the Uncharted Empires, it just says you can use Berserkers, but it takes the star off and makes them not irregular. What's happened now is that Free Dwarfs have their own Berserkers, still troop and regiment, still naked savage guys, height 2, speed 5, melee 4, defense 4. But they have a couple of extra things now. They keep the wild charge D3. They keep the vicious in melee, but they now gain thunderous charge 1. And the new Slayer rule, melee D6, which means against large infantry and monsters, etc., they get D6 extra attacks. They also keep the vengeance rule. So the thunderous charge 1 on the charge, thunderous charge 2 if they're lucky enough to come off a hill. And then they have the vengeance rule, so when they countercharge, they get crushing strength 1. So this makes them a lot more of a viable choice. Also, just in keeping with the Free Dwarf ethos, you can get them Pathfinder, 10 points for the troop, 15 points for the regiment, which makes troop 115 points, regiment 180 points. Still the same nerf, 13 for a troop, 17 for the regiment, but that, it's really good. What this is going to mean is we're going to see a lot more of these guys floating about, which is why I've just spent a long time putting a whole load of these guys together for my army for next year. So watch this space. As well as the Berserkers, there's been a couple of others shuffling round. A lot of people have been using shield breakers because they basically the standalone infantry for the free dwarves. You can get ironclads as well, but they're just the basic bog standard ironclads that come the same for the Golux lot. The shield breakers had the advantage of having Scout and Pathfinder. What they've done now is they've made them cheaper. So they're going to be 85 for a troop, 130 for a regiment, 215 for a horde. But they've removed the Scout off them. They've made it an option. So you can put Scout back on to bring them back up to their old price. So if your army, if you're not particularly bothered about having Scout, you can take it off the shield breakers, have cheaper infantry, and they still have the Pathfinder, just as good. They're also included in the formation, which, by the amazing part of technology here, if I can find it, there we go. The new free dwarf formation, Eric's Mallets. Whoever comes up with the names some of them are really good. This one is
mallets.
Yeah, at least it wasn't Timmy's mallets. That would have got me. Mallets. Yeah. So these guys is 3 regiments of shield breakers, but you have to give them the Scout upgrade, and 1 free dwarf lord. So the free dwarf lord in this formation gains both the Scout and brutal special rules. The shield breaker regiments in this formation gain both the nimble and brutal special rules. The shield breakers must purchase the Scout upgrade. Couple of things that just sitting and taking this at face value, it's cracking because, you know, Pathfinder scouting dwarf regiments with Crush 1, hitting on 3s, with nimble and brutal, they're going to be corkscrewing all over the place. The other thing about them is that it's no point does it say you can't take magic items with these. Mm-hmm. So you can have Eric the Bold, Dwarf Lord, slap wings of honey maze on the dude. He's a scouting, brutal free dwarf lord that can scout 20 inches in his first turn and then fly in anywhere. Poof. That's got to be worth 40 points just for that. Yeah. I mean, it does make it a hideously expensive formation at the end of the road.
I'm just checking on the formation rules. You can't.
I think that's cool.
It only
expressly says
if it specifically says. Yeah, if it specifically says you can't take a magic item with it, then you can't. But this one doesn't.
Yeah, I think we have a sign for that somewhere.
Do we? I think
we should.
Think you might be right. There we go. So that's the first one of the evening. I mean, I looked at that and thought, yeah, well, I use Wingy Kingy anyway. Everybody knows I use Wingy Kingy. So instead of having him as a Berserker Lord, have him as this dude. Along with, I've got 3 regiments of shield breakers in my army, so that'll be being play tested. That'll be being play tested very soon. As soon as I can unleash it on the unsuspecting public at the Rebel Warriors Club, that's going to be used.
So I just want to note at this point. I was one of the play testers, but you look through all these army lists, and there's various things that you go, "What? That seems far too good." But the thing is, all the armies get things that seem really good. So when you take it as a whole, it's like, everything's super exciting. Fanatics is going to be interesting. Yes,
it is going to be. I mean, taken in isolation, this looks great. I haven't had a look at everybody else's formations and stuff like that. So what I think might be great, bombs out against somebody, because somebody might watch this and go, right, I'm going to challenge you at a tournament and I'm going to take something specifically to get rid of that, because I've got my new army and it's got all sorts of stuff in as well. But anyway, so that's the formation. What I'll do is I'll go over and bring up the next amazing little picture that I did. Oh,
I
no.
love how you spend your time at work.
Yeah, well.
And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, well, this isn't working.
Oh dear.
That is now.
Yeah.
Right. What you can't see is that I've just wiped out StreamYard with the PowerPoint. I can't see the dashboard for StreamYard because PowerPoint's just opened up on it. Right, so as I was saying before, there's the 3 dwarf berserkers in all their glory. My old friend Bannock Colarm. A couple of things on this one I noticed. He's still got a load of rules. Brutal, crushing strength 2, headstrong, individual, inspiring, pathfinder and scout. They've changed his forge blessed. And at first I thought, why have they done that? And then I realised because now fireball is shattering. So he doesn't need to have fireball shattering as his special rule because all fireballs are shattering. So what they've done is they've made him hit on a 4+ regardless of all modifiers. Fireball 10 hitting on a 4+ against anything. So he's like a mastiff packmaster without the vicious with 10 shots instead of 6. He's still really good in combat because he's 6 attacks hitting on 4+, crushing strength 2 and brutal. He's a little powerhouse. It's fantastic. And what's even better,
the armies aren't going to cope with you, are we?
And what's even better is that you're sticking with the Kragoth and Colarm thing, and I can have him twice in the same army shooting fireballs all over the place that's shattering, because Kragoth does exactly the same. But I diverse. So just to make me even more happy, because everybody knows I'm a badger boy, I use all the badges. 3 dwarf Brock Riders now, if you pay 10 points for a troop, 15 points for a regiment, you can just put Pathfinder on them. No more Boots of Striding, no more Macwars. Just stick that on, and then you can give them Brew of Sharpness. You can give them Blessing of the Gods, Brew of Strength, whatever you want. All right, makes them 210 points basic for a regiment, and then you put the magic item on, so the army's going to get slightly smaller. But
or not
at the end of the day, you know, it's going to be a lot more hard hitting. I think anyway.
If you were only buying the Pathfinder and Strider items before, well, now you're getting them for slightly cheaper. So actually, you could save some points.
It could save some points, but the temptation's always there. Temptation's always there to go right. They've got Pathfinder, and I can still put a magic item on them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you know me. I'm not going to go. Yeah, I'll put Pathfinder on, and that's enough.
Yeah. Pathfinder and Sharpness. Ooh.
Pathfinder and Sharpness. Pathfinder and Wine of Elvenkind. Knowing my luck, it's going to be Pathfinder and Fire Oil, Pathfinder and Blade of Slashing, because there's so much I want to put in. Right. Dwarf Spear Levy. Okay. I don't know anybody else that uses these. I've not seen anybody field them, friendly casual games or anything like that, because, quite frankly, they were a bit pants. They were irregular. All right, they have Pathfinder, but they're like defense 4, movement 4, phalanx. Great. So they were a bit of a non-choice. But now they've made them regular and you can scout them. So you can now get a couple of troops of those, or even a couple of regiments, because they are quite cheap, and scout them forward into terrain. And with phalanx, they just sit there and go, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see a lot more of them. It's just a shame that Mantic don't do some nice models, because the Bulwarker models are a bit of a pain to put together. Yeah. But, you know, other people do models of Dwarf Spearmen and they're quite good. I won't mention.
Or you can just buy the spears and drill out the wrists of the standard.
Well, you can, yeah. Like what I did on my my Brock Riders for the Ranger Army. Long metal spears.
I've no idea. I haven't actually heard this. Maybe Mantic are planning on new ones. I mean, new Berserkers and spears. I don't know. Could be next year.
Yes.
I've really
yes,
no
please.
Idea.
Yes, please, Ronnie and Rob and Matt, please, yes.
So this is a guerrilla warfare army, isn't it? It's absolute guerrilla warfare.
It is. Yeah.
Massively, everything shunts forward, which is great for most of the objective grabbing or moving across board type scenarios. So it's
it is going to make, especially if you've got plenty of scenery on that table as well for them to hide in. I mean, as Rusty would say, they want to be elves.
I'm not going to draw any conclusions, but it does sound very much like, and it's an elf list.
They've got more Pathfinder than elves.
Well, they're like Sylvan dwarfs, really. Sylvan dwarfs, and as well as the spear levy getting the scouts and becoming regular, the free dwarf flavour of Iron Watch rifles and crossbowmen, a couple of things they're getting. I don't know whether it's in line with the Imperial Dwarfs or not, but who cares? They're getting melee value 4, unit strength increasing to 1, 3, and 4, so the big horde is now a proper horde for sitting on objectives and saying, well, we're just going to contest until death. So that means that they're now more viable as a combat unit as well. So a bit more dual purpose. With the pot shot, they can move across the table shooting, as both myself and Dan experienced at Clash of Kings, where the Free Dwarf army that eventually came third, I think it was, he had a horde of Iron Watch rifles.
That was Quentin Ledussel, the guy from
something
France.
like that.
Very friendly guy. And I'll be honest, after facing that, I was like, I want to put this in my army. And then it got buffs, 2 of them.
I know, it's great, isn't it? Yeah. He was an amazing opponent. He really knew what to do with his army. He said at the very beginning his English was very limited, and I think, to be perfectly honest, in the entire game, all he ever said to me was, "I think they are dead."
I was
you can take them off now.
I was making an effort to speak a bit of French. Now, bear in mind, I didn't do it for long at school, but I was like très bien, and I was like, I was listing some of the numbers and things. I was trying my best.
I didn't bother because I learnt most of my French fighting French sailors at Marseille. So it's probably all right. The only clean word in French I know is un immeuble, which means a flat.
That's a bit murd, isn't it?
Yeah. Tant pis. Where was I? Got lost, diverted. I forgot. It's like Steve Hildrew's here all over again. Tangent, yeah. Hernius the Hunter. Hernius the Hunter. This is just tidying things up, because when this 3rd edition came out, everybody looked and went, "I'm not using Hernius at 210 points. It's actually 135. They've just clarified that. Yeah, and not the sort of typo you want to exploit either. Right, the free. We never exploit typos. Free Dwarf Stone Priest. So the Free Dwarf Stone Priest, couple of things with him. He gets the Alchemist Curse Legendary 1 spell 3 for 30 points, or free of exchange for Surge, with the changes to Inspiring, which means he now inspires everybody rather than just mobile rocks. It actually means that putting him into an army where there is no elementals is a bit more of a prospect now, because you can just give him Alchemist Curse and Bane Chant for 20 points extra, get rid of the Surge because you don't need it, and he just trundles along inspiring stuff, Bane Chanting it. So, I mean, he could be quite useful with a big mob of Spear Levy or some Rangers or something like that, or a load of Berserkers, Foot Berserkers trundling around. Get that Bane Chant on them, and the counter charge, the Crushing 2. You know, the amount of attacks that they can throw down range. It's going to be a nice one for it. Well, that's a little insight into the Free Dwarfs. So,
Bob,
has anybody else got any comments?
Bob, did you read out the top paragraph? Wild Charge.
Oh, right. No, I missed that. Yeah, I missed that entirely. Yeah.
I thought you did.
Yes. Not only have we got all these changes, but the following units in the Free Dwarfs gain the Wild Charge 1 special rule. The Shield Breakers, the Ironwatch Crossbows, Ironwatch Rifles, Spear Levy, and the Free Dwarf Lord. So that means...
So your
all
Dwarf Lord's charge
Your
21.
Dwarf Wingy King is now on 21 inch charge.
And charge 21.
Well, if you use him as a Berserker Lord, he gets wild charge D3 anyway, and then if he stood within 6 inches of Sverry, he gets an extra wild charge +1.
But he's
he's
not starting
D3
20
+1.
inches down the table.
Yeah.
No, this is true. So people's artillery is going to be a bit on shaky ground wherever they put that.
Just shaky ground.
So that means there's free buffs to Ironwatch rifles and crossbows. So they've got better unit strength, better melee, and they can wild charge. Because no one's going to be expecting suddenly a charge 11. So they just suddenly charge with rifles or something.
They've still only got move 4, the Ironwatch stuff. So they can only make it's the Rangers and the Berserkers and stuff like that have moved 5.
Yeah,
everything else is still a bit too traditional.
I don't normally field infantry, so I don't know much about it. But
well, it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence that I just this week finished painting a horde of Ironwatch rifles disguised as Rangers for some reason.
No idea why you might be doing that, Bob. No idea.
No, I have no idea at all.
Hold on, what are we on, Dan?
Oh, it's Glengoyne 10-year matured single malt Scotch whisky.
No.
Just top it up a little bit. Don't forget this hangover is in the past. So
how will this change your list? Do you think, Bob? Got to ask.
Well, once
on my side of the bloody board. That's the first.
Well, he's just going to be a twat about it. I know that, but
well, to be honest, I am tempted with the formation. The major change is going to be I'm going to use a lot more infantry. There's going to be at least one horde and maybe a couple of regiments and troops in the army. Horde of Ironwatch rifles, a couple of regiments and troops of the Foot Berserkers. I'm not going to get rid of the badges altogether because the extra Pathfinder and stuff like that. Just makes them irresistible.
Lose the badges, Bob. Lose the badges.
No, I'm not going to lose the badges. I'm going to have some little guys trundling across. I'm definitely going to have some of the Bonic goodness with the Fireball 10. Just as an individual character wandering around in the back of my army, inspiring stuff, bane chanting stuff. Anything that lands too close to him, he can run over and he's got a good chance. You know, he'll make flyers sit down, crush too.
I mean, the only trouble is having the points to take them all. What you need is a high points tournament. Jan, how many points is Britcon?
Ooh.
Well, it was 3,000 last time, wasn't it?
3,000, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, you can take lots of
3,000.
toys. Well, there we go.
And it's a 2-day tournament as well. Lovely.
It is a 2-day tournament.
In Nottingham.
1,000 points.
Yeah.
I'm complaining because it's a whole 10-minute drive from my house. I know. It's terrible. It's too far for me to travel.
It's all right, John. We can open the bar on your drive.
Well, I'm kind of negotiating with my other half that she might want to go and visit her parents, and we can do an Airbnb in my house.
I like the idea. That sounds great. Who's the man?
God.
But yeah, so I've also got a free dwarf army, and I mean my thoughts echo Bob's in many ways. I'm very excited about the formation, although it's debatable how often the nimble's going to help on those little units. But I don't know, you might get some like corkscrews off. But I do love the new foot berserkers. It's interesting to know. I know Bob did say about them being different to the normal dwarf ones. They've already been spoiled. So obviously the normal ones have +1 nerve. These have TC, and it's like I'd rather have the TC from an offensive point of view. But obviously the moment it would have survived, you would have been like, oh, okay, maybe the extra nerve would have been good. But for me, because I'm a quite aggressive player, I love the TC on these. And it was funny on Fanatics. People were going, oh, I'm not sure about these Slayer changes, but they're not really offensive enough. They don't hit hard enough. And I'm like, wait, be patient. So these ones, of course, you've got the Slayer. So you're going into large inventory, and then you got your TC. Oh, charge off a hill as well. Why not?
Yeah.
Very good. They're going to cause some pain. I like that. And they're not even that expensive. They're very reasonable, really. I love them.
Well, 180 points if you want them with Pathfinder. 165 if you're not too bothered about the Pathfinder. I mean, that is lovely. It's cheaper than the Rangers. Yeah. You know,
I like the troops. Take a few of those troops, hide them behind your line. Suddenly get a flank in. Oh, that's. I've rolled a 6. Oh, that's 42 TC1 attacks on 4. Might hurt the smidgen. 105 points. Yeah, I can handle that. Oh, it's vicious as well, of course.
Oh, yeah, the vicious. Yeah, we mustn't forget the vicious.
No.
Well, it's an equivalent of elite.
So, yeah, I love these free dwarf
the French have discovered, Jan, with maths and everything.
Yeah. I honestly think the RC's done a lovely job with this list, and I'm very excited to play with them next year.
Yeah. So, are we moving on to the next one then?
I think so.
Push as long because we did 40 minutes on one.
Oh yeah, right, okay.
We're going to be on here.
I mean, that
all
was
night
the sexy
at this
one.
rate.
To be honest, Bob, that was the sexy one. That was the one that I thought was the most changes.
I don't know. I think we've got some cool stuff coming.
And I will stress now, don't look at these in isolation and start ranting on bloody Fanatics.
No, because John will use his power.
Utterly sure we've got something. Yep.
He will ban you. Hammer
right.
time. Do.
So who wants to go next?
I don't mind.
Go on, I'll do Varangir next then, Bob.
Varangir.
Here we go. Look at that.
There we go.
Very
With
nice.
a beautiful turquoise and purple background. Very much my colour scheme.
I'm loving the ready for this moment.
Okay, so Bloodbound has been expanded out to Human Clansmen, Huskarls, Frostfang Cavalry, Lord on Frostfang, Thane on Frostfang, Skald, and Lord on Chimera, which is a little different to what's been previously.
I think that's good. The Lord on Frostbite needed a buff. He's quite underpowered.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So that allows that
Really?
ultimately allows them to offset D2 wounds if they've got a Magus nearby and some Draugr to try and do a transfusion from. So not a massive buff, but expands it outwards. Reavers have changed a bit. They've gained Wild Charge D3 special rule, and the Mask of the Reaper has changed. It's still Life Leech 2, but the cost has now dropped to 5 and 10 points. So much cheaper. The Wild Charge D3 makes them so their speed 6 normally, so that's a 13-inch charge to 15-inch charge, which is really quite nice. The other big one that's changed is Night Raiders. So these are the sort of mounted cavalry, mounted archers. They're no longer irregular, woohoo! But they've lost Scout. Ooh. But they have range value to 4 up instead of 5 up, so they've now got a really quite nice shooting. That's a really nice shooting attack. However, the Wolf Handler option has now been amended, so it's now Wolf Handlers 3 instead of just 1. So you can have 3 lots of these. They've got the Wolf Handlers, and again, Aura Vicious Melee for Tundra Wolves, and Scout, and it's 15 points. So you can put Scout back on. You also get melee, vicious melee for your Tundra Wolves that are running with them. So you've got a lovely flanking force there of fast moving, hard hitting, and shooting cavalry unit. So I'm thinking here of almost like the sort of Mongol cavalry type vibe going from this really quite strongly. Fallen have kept their.
Just, John, you know that's the infantry unit. Yeah?
Night Raiders. Oh, sorry. Yes, that's
it's
Night
infantry.
Raiders.
It's not mounted.
That's infantry. Sorry. Yes, I was getting confused between Night Raiders and what's the horsey one? Horse Raiders. Sorry. Yeah, Night Raiders. So they'll sit themselves in a nice wood somewhere. Thank you. Fallen. This unit is no longer irregular. So that got changed previously, so that's not really changed much. And the Lord.
Did it?
Okay, so the Lord's changed quite a bit. We've now upped the number of attacks to 6, and we've offered him a mount on a horse where you lose the wild charge but increase the speed to 8 and 55 points, which is great. However, that does stop you taking the Devoted Icon special rule. So this gives you auras of Brutal, or Aura of Leech, Life Leech +1, or Aura of Stealth, Barbarian, and these are Barbarian only. So you've got a choice to make in, do you want your Lord to be an Aura caster and boosting out most of your units, Barbarian only, and there are an awful lot of Barbarian, or you put him on a horse and running around like a fool. Your choice. Not quite sure which way I'd go on that one. Probably keeping. I think this then generally goes back to trying to create a mixed arms list after the Varangir, which is different to what I've done. But a nice boosting character in the back line is not to be sniffed at, I think.
John, the Fallen change is a brand new change. It wasn't in the last one.
I thought they were.
No. Because I was building lists this year. They were definitely irregular. I've just checked Halby's Rift. They definitely weren't. So it's a brand new change.
All right, so they are irregular.
Okay.
So you can take lots of. Wow, in that case, then you can take a shitload of Fallen. Hey.
Well, the important thing is, you see, I'd taken them out of some of my lists because I just needed a few more unlocks when I can come back.
Well, you can take them as allies now as well, then. There's no prohibition against taking them as allies, is there?
Well, they don't make the change with like dragons.
Yeah, I think that still stands, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can standard.
Okay, you can't take them with abyssals. Is that the? Or is that just generally?
Oh yeah,
but second, wasn't
evil
it?
and good.
Well, the abyssals and Varangir are both evil.
Both evil, but they're
Yeah, they're both evil. So I
Yeah, but
Is that second edition, Dan? Where that
I think that was second edition. It doesn't ring any recent bells.
okay, but nobody takes allies because the allies are just cheating basically.
But it's just dirty and it's filthy, and nobody would ever do
Nobody
that.
would
Would
ever dream
Bob
about
or
taking an
Dan?
ally.
No, I think if people want to take them, they're a fun, flavourful option. It just makes your army a little bit different. I actually like it when people make interesting builds in different ways. I think allies are cool.
So we do have a new unit. It's a monstrous infantry hero. So it's a troll.
That's the one.
That's their beauty. Krufnir. So
I'm saying that when you've had half a dozen gins.
Daddy, and I've proven it's actually quite difficult to do after red wine and gin. The really spectacular thing about this one is they bring me their head. So choose a friendly core bloodbound unit, and we've previously mentioned that includes Frostang Cavalry.
Oh, Jesus, does it?
Yes.
Yeah, that was messy.
Within 12 inches of this unit, regardless of line of sight, that unit gains Duelist. So that doubles the attacks against characters. 60 attacks. Eat that.
Man, to be fair, 30 would probably kill most characters anyway. But if you feel like
but that's just hilarious. It's just such. You can just imagine how much fun that's going to be. Bring me his head.
You can feel the entire aura coming off that.
So we do have a formation, as everybody else seems to have. And this is where I was getting myself confused with the horse raiders. Here we go. So we've got 2 regiments of horse raiders for plus 10 points per unit, and the Silksneer, who's a lord and horse with the icon of the warrior upgrade. Note that this bypasses the restriction of the icon of the warrior being taken on a horse-bound man. So the horse raiders gain melee 3 up. So that creates quite a nasty unit that's very fast moving on the outside. So horse raiders have the nimble, so it's a nimble, shooty, charging, nasty thing.
Do they have thunderous charge, horse raiders?
And they do thunderous charge 1. So TC 1, nimble, melee 3, 14 attacks. They can also pump out 14 shots at range 5, or throwing axes at shorter range with piercing 1. And steady
So what's the icon of the warrior upgrade?
Icon of the warrior gives them brutal. It's an aura brutal plus 1.
Yowie.
I like this formation. I've always liked horse raiders. Getting a melee 3 is pretty lovely, and it's very reasonably priced.
Yeah. And yeah, ouch. Oh.
Yeah, ooh. That's nice. And like I say, you don't have to have them side by side, as Bob has pointed out, with Wingy Kingy. So you run your melee, your lord with this aura brutal with your other cavalry, have your nice flanking forces of these souped up horse raider regiments. Yeah, but then they're competing with the Fallen. Mind you, they are a shitload cheaper.
Well,
quite considerably.
A shitload cheaper.
Well, it goes back to what John was saying earlier as well. Depends on what you now want. You've got the Varangir as the Vikings backed up by big icy monsters, or you've got the more Mongol idea of the horse raiders. You know, you could have Sons of Korgan with these guys flanking them, and your lord there, and he's just flitting around adding his brutal to all sorts of stuff. And these guys are coming in the flanks and finishing stuff off with the nimble and the hitting on 3+, you know, getting themselves into good positions.
And your 4-up archers sat in the scouted forward with the wolves nearby, just causing some I think the Varangir really have switched into very much into a mixed arms list now. They were more or less focused. You could do a mixed arms list, but it was always a bit suboptimal for Varangir. If you want to mixed arms, you go Northern Alliance. Varangir was very much into an alpha strike, hard hitting, because they had the big heavy cavalry steaming forward, and the obligatory Frost Fang Lords. How many can you fit into your army? I think this really opens up an completely alternate way of looking at the Varangir as a true mixed arms, with a little different to the Northern Alliance. So yeah, I think I'm having had a look at the Clash of Kings book now. I'm not sure that I will be using Varangir much in the next couple of months. I think I'll be looking at another army that we're not going to discuss. But because I think that because there's more hilarity that I can do with the other one. But this is certainly the list that I'll come back to at some point.
So, John, it's since they are part of Varangir, it's probably worth mentioning the master units that got changed within Northern Alliance that Varangir can take as well.
Where in the heck does that say that?
So under Northern Alliance, well, I'll read a couple out if you like.
I'll say I've not even looked at Northern Alliance.
So Lord on Chimera is now dropped to 310 points.
Ooh.
Frost Giants now have Slayer D6.
Yeah.
Are there any other units in there that obviously not covering Northern Alliance, but it's part of Varangir? So is there any other units on there that are in Varangir? Human Clansmen?
Yeah, Clansmen. They're in there.
The points cost changes 80, 120, and 200. They've got an upgrade. I think the upgrade follows fruit from the master list.
Yeah, Human Clansman is yeah. So they've dropped a little bit, 20 points. Yeah, so they've become usable, because in the Varangir list and to be fair, in Northern Alliance list they weren't really usable.
Yeah, they've got a choice of increasing defense or swapping shields to two-handed weapons. So yeah, pretty solid. I quite like the changes to Varangir. I also have a Varangir army, and I'm loving the Horse Raider changes. The shooty ones, the night ones. After seeing the way Tom used his shooty hand weapon units, hitting on 5s, they were very good. Now some of those hitting on 4s, okay. Yeah, I'd be willing to try that. I suspect they're very good. The only downside is it means I've got to pay lots of infantry. Unless I can convince Bob to paint it all for me.
I suspect somebody might be painting a lot of Horse Raiders for me before long.
I love Horse Raiders, especially that formation.
Well,
where I got mine from, actually, because I got load.
I have a load of Warlord Sarmatian light cavalry that, with a bit of judicious green stuff and some head swaps, will make some very nice Horse Raiders. And one of the advantages of being a historical gamer who's crossed over into fantasy, I have loads of them.
I think I got a load of Druzina from Fireforge.
Yeah. That's what I've got, I think. Yeah.
The old medieval Russian guys.
Yes.
Yeah, because they used to be they were the model for the Kislev stuff, so they probably suit a sort of an Eastern Steppes Varangir as opposed to the Viking Varangir that generally tends to get bandied about.
I've got a couple of regiments painted,
Viking Varangir.
Sorry, John.
No, there's nothing up with a bit of Viking Varangir.
No, but no, you can have your Varangir in multiple different flavors. You can have the ones that look like slightly darker painted Northern Alliance. You can have the ones that look like they've just stepped off the longboats, and then you can have the ones that look like the Great Khan has sent them on a mission. You know.
Yeah.
Modelling possibilities are endless. I haven't got a Varangir. Well, I have got a Varangir army, but it's all based on fantasy barbarians. So yeah. But,
same as Free Dwarfs, I'm very much looking forward to using Varangir next year, and my army will be very different to what I was using this year. I
bet it's still got three conclaves in it now.
Maybe.
Oh.
They are quite nice.
They are very
But
nice.
yeah,
Well,
I suspect
to
the
be fair,
Frostfangs
though-
will be retiring for a bit.
Yeah,
Well,
but you've now
I've
got
run out
some
of
decent
gin,
shooting.
so I'm going to dash off, grab gin, and I will let Dan go next.
Oh, that's very generous of you.
That's fair. Does
I
that mean
thought so.
you're saying I'm going to be boring? You don't want to listen?
Yeah.
No. No,
Sorry,
not at all.
did I say that out
saying-
loud?
I've got to take an opportunity to get a gin top up.
No worries, no worries. See, that's why you bring it with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
I like to keep mine chilled.
Fair enough.
Back in a minute.
Go on then, Dan.
So undead.
Undeaders.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I've just got to find bloody undead in the book. Well, they're not in alphabetical order. And
No, they're not. Page 94, Dan.
94. Thank you. I was nearly there. Right. Okay. Undead. So there's not a huge number of undead changes. I'm going to repeat the ones that are in Halpy's lift, mostly because I can't 100% remember. Maybe they made a slight change. Anyway, Morgoth the Faceless, speed 7, drain life 20. Sorry, 7.
You wish.
Lycanis. Okay, so first up, of course, it's now got full inspiring. Great. But it's also now got a new upgrade option. Now, it's a legendary option, so you can only do it to one of them, but it's called Howl of the Wolf.
Oh, for God's sake.
It gains an aura of Slayer, melee D3, beast only, for 25 points. Now, for those curious, beast, of course, is werewolves, but it's also the little death packs. So yeah, Slayer. And of course, Slayer, for those who may have forgotten or not realised, it's against large infantry or bigger. Yeah, it's not bad. I might consider it. It's mostly the fact that it's full inspiring now that most of these want people like him. Okay, Skeleton Warriors. They now have the option to exchange their shields for two-handed weapons. Defense 3, crush 1. Oh yes, like that's very nice.
Two of them.
I've got a pile of gore
basically,
blights from somewhere.
Bob's used the opportunity of getting hold of the cocked these headlines and started building entirely new armies.
You'd be surprised how much I've painted in the last week, mate. You were unbelievable.
No, I wouldn't be surprised.
So again, Wraiths are now regular. That I'm pretty certain that was in Halpys, wasn't it? Revenant Cab, the points are still amended. 115, 180, 305. Troop Regiment Horde.
They were already broken anyway. Apparently.
Vampire Lord. Now this for me, coming from my Warhammer roots, feels quite Strigoi-esque. Upgrade with Blood Rage. So you lower defense to 4. Gain crushing 3. And life leech 3 for free. You can't take it with a mount, so it's got a condition. But crushing 3, life leech 3 is pretty good.
It is. It's very, very Strigoi vampire. They were the beast ones, weren't they?
Yeah. And if you want it to be fast, give it wings of honeymaze. Have a defense. You'll be fine.
A defense-free flying vampire. Yeah.
Rips things. It'd be great. It's got duelist. It'd be great at killing individuals. It'd be insane. I actually quite like that. I think it's interesting. I don't know if it's a must take, but it's certainly interesting. Okay, continuing on. Ghoulghast. Now, Ghoulghasts now have 4 inspiring, which for me makes them very interesting. And they now have an aura, which takes as many times as you like. This excites me a lot. An aura of TC1 cannibal only. So it's ghouls. So for 20 points, all the ghouls within range get TC1. And I love ghouls. I've never really won them much, but I know some people like Patrick, Zorro, Alan, and such. I've seen them use like 6 troops. Well, imagine getting 1 ghast, having it zipping round, giving TC wherever needed. I love this. I've actually got 3 regiments of ghouls. I'm definitely going to be trying it out. I think it's a great low option, so I like that. So with cavalry, this is new, I think. pretty
Yeah,
soon.
it is. Yeah.
Amend the points to 150 and 240. So they've dropped down in points by a good chunk,
155 down.
which is good because they, compared to other heavy cavalry, they were just a bit expensive for what you get these days. They're quite reasonable now, which is good because I think Undead were missing a strong heavy cavalry. You know, I mean, so now they've got everything. So that's pretty good. Vampire Lord and Undead Dragon drops to 305. That's handy. I mean, I liked it. I still found it as it was. I know people reckon dragons in general in 3rd edition a bit expensive. Well, as you've seen with both these and Varangir, they've dropped down. I'm not going to comment on whether they also dropped down in the other lists. Well, there we go. Anyway, Revenant on Undead Great Burrowing Worm is now 200 points. It was a bit pricey before. Now it's a bit more useful. Lich King, it has Drain Life 6 for 30 points. Necromancer's Drain Life 4 for 20. The Revenant King on Undead Great Flying Worm is nerf -18 and 265 points. Okay.
That was, I think that was Halpy. Was that in Halpies?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. But this one is new. Lady Alona, amend cost to 250.
Ooh, that's a big drop.
She was a bit expensive. Now she's pretty viable. So Undead, unlike some of the other ones, they don't get a huge amount. But then they didn't really need a huge amount. Let's face it, they're a strong list.
I can use Alona in Speed Cow now.
Yeah, this just gives you a few. This just gives you a few more options. Me personally, I'm going to be adding probably a Lycanis, maybe a Ghast. I'll probably be running a few more werewolves, a few ghouls, and I think it actually makes for very versatile lists. The points drop on a few units is very welcome. I'll be honest, I've never run Soul Reavers ever. 1st edition, 2nd, 3rd. They were always fine, but I don't know. But no, the Ghasts and werewolves, I can certainly see. I'm thinking some sort of combined list. I think that's going to work quite nicely. So yeah, I'm pretty excited by the Undead changes. You know, it's not a lot, but I didn't need a lot.
You're gonna look at the formation and the new unit.
Oh, that's on the next page. I forgot about that. Formation. So this has already been spoiled elsewhere.
That's why Andrew Hawley's jumping around like a madman.
Yes. So basically, zombie legions, they take forever to kill. So what does a zombie legion need? It needs to take even longer to kill. Of course it does.
Yeah.
Overkill, they now gain Iron Resolve and Phalanx. I mean, Phalanx, I don't know how much useful that's going to be. Iron Resolve, okay. Rallying, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, if your opponent's sending Dracons into your zombie legion, that wouldn't have gone well previously. Now it's just insanity. They're just never going to die. And for 25 points, if you're running 2 zombie legions and a Goreblight, it's kind of a you wouldn't not take it. I like it a lot. I don't know whether it's going to be in every army list, but it's a great centre for a dominate scenario, isn't it?
Oh God, yeah. Never thought about that.
Just wishing they'd done it for Night Stalkers.
Should we move on to the new unit? Is it a new unit? Technically, it's a rebranded unit.
It's a Halpies Rift one, same as the Free Dwarfs. They just got the wizard back. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a nice little spellcaster. So individual, inspiring. His fireball now. Does it heal skeletons? Yeah. For each point of damage dealt by the fireball, you can remove 1 point from units with the skeleton keyword without Revenant. So it's a buff for skeleton units, kind of, which people have been asking for. It doesn't need line of sight to heal them. And you can reroll all ones, so it's effectively elite. Pretty solid. He's also got the new Veil of Shadows spell, which is pretty cool. we're not going to cover that now, so you have to wait for that. But unless it's already in Halby's Rift, you can look in Halby's Rift if you wish. It might be in there. I forget. Yeah, it's pretty solid little upgrade. I think it's definitely more powerful than the version. So yeah, that's Undead. You guys got any thoughts?
Well, I think the drop-in points of the Soul Reaver cavalry is because on balance, most people I've spoken to, because the Soul Reaver infantry has more attacks and costs 250 points. The Soul Reaver cavalry, the only real advantage they had was their speed over the infantry. So I think they've dropped the points slightly to make it just that little bit more attractive, because you Soul Reaver, you buy a regiment of Soul Reaver cavalry at 250 points, and then your easy army auto includes either the Caterpillar or the Boots of Striding on it, and it becomes like 265 or 270 points. Well, now it's just going to be slightly cheaper.
Just to allay the fears of those worrying that Undead didn't need more powerful units, it is actually fixing a balancing issue. If you compare them to, say, Mounted Suns, which are a good mounted unit, they were basically just 20 points more for no reason, effectively. But that was obviously just a minor issue that during creation of the army, because obviously originally they had Defense 6. And obviously we changed it for 3rd edition. So yeah, it's just bringing it back into a balanced level. So it's not like Undead are getting an overpowered cavalry to make up for their having got. You see what I mean? It's a balance thing. But yeah, I think it's solid.
But yeah, I think you're going to see a lot more people building their Undead armies around, like you say, the ghouls and with the ghoul gas, the Lycanis, and werewolves. Fast moving.
Yeah. I'm not sure about the Lycanis upgrade. It's not bad, but it's only D3.
No, it's not bad, but it's the fact points. It's the fact that they can inspire anybody now, makes them a lot more useful, because it's a really fast moving, nimble, scoring unit character that's quite handy in combat. So it's elevated it up there alongside like the Dwarf Lord on beasts and Spheri and things like that. From my experience, they're really useful. Or berserker bullies that are using my ogre army. Those not individual, but those single large infantry characters are really handy to put with nimble. And the fact that they've got that massive speed edge as well, you have them nimble and they can charge out of people's blind sides. Yeah. You've got a unit sitting there and you think, I'm out of everybody's charge out, and you've got one of them sitting on a hill somewhere going, well, actually, I can just I can slip through that little gap there and I'm in your flank.
Back in 1st and 2nd edition, I used to run as many as 3 of these, and I really liked them. But the 3rd edition changes of slight increased cost and lacking inspiring just sort of pushed them a bit too. But I think with full inspire, I might try Viora. Not sure.
If something inspires and you can bring it in, it can often be worth it.
Yeah. Especially
as a Night Stalker player. Just bringing in somebody.
Bring your inspiring to me.
Exactly.
Why
not just grab somebody that is automatically inspiring to myself and run across the table with them?
Although Viora doesn't sound necessarily amazing, you have to bear in mind with Lycanis, you're often looking at a flank or rear charge, and 3D3 is not bad.
Always fun.
I think the generalization of inspiring is quite interesting.
But it certainly opens up a lot of possibilities, a lot more possibilities, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot more people avoiding double ones.
Well, yeah.
You always try.
It's worth a bit of conversation in itself, isn't it? It's like units like the Centaur Chieftain. I loved them in second edition. Loved them. Since the change in Herd, it's been like, I'm not sure. But now they get it back.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so suddenly Centaur Chieftain is very, very viable again. Units like that. It's just like, I'm quite excited.
Well, let's hope that the Herd make a comeback then. Good.
We've lost Dan.
He's evaporated. Oh, and he's
No, I'm
back.
still here. You just don't want to watch me blowing my noses off.
Fair enough.
So, Jan, Night Stalker.
Oh, right. Well,
here we go.
Where to begin?
What page?
Where to begin? I already know that people have let drop bits and pieces about Portal of Despair and the Shadow Hulk. So
I found them 93.
But let's start there. Get the obvious out of the way for everybody. So, Portal of Despair has gained Radiance of Life, 35 points if they want it. The text of Vision of the Void rules will be changing to read, as long as this unit is present in play on the table. At the start of ranged phases, you may select friendly core units on the battlefield in line of sight. Selected units granted Inspiring rule, and that continues until your next turn.
So it's regardless of range or line of sight.
It's regardless of range or line of sight. Yeah. So, kind of a nice thing to actually have clarified. The Shadow Hulk is gaining Slayer melee D3 as a special rule. So that's obviously not a little deal. That's quite nasty. Turns him into the kind of giant that you would like to have. But then I'm going to take a step back. We'll go back to bloodworms, something that not lots of people use. Now, obviously, hopefully, we're going to start getting something through to actually put on bases for these, but bloodworms are gaining fury as a special rule and an amendment to nerve, so they're going up per section. So, troop, regiment, legion.
So they've gone to
regiment, horde, legion.
Yeah, they got to 25, 28 nerve for legion and fury. So that's basically dash 28 for all intents and purposes. Which
is for melee, yeah.
Horrible. We're not going to be able to shoot that off, are you? With dash 28, you have to hit it at some point. That's horrible.
Yes, utterly broken, and about time that they became useful. I must admit, I've avoided using bloodworms. I have sat back and thought about it a number of times, especially if you've got the life leech too.
Yeah, so they're just going to be, they're awful. They just stay there forever and ever and ever. And also, they can produce them really quickly because fishing lures are quite a easy way of doing it.
Yeah.
Just use the maggot fishing lures.
It's a shame that Mantic haven't come out with their own models.
I don't think there's no point. They can just repackage a pack of fishing lures in the that sort of rubbery
Yeah,
silicon
it
bits.
would
Yeah,
do the job.
yeah. It's just repackaged
just very hard to paint is the only problem, because the silicon doesn't take paint very easily, as I found.
Just leave them as flesh coloured.
But yeah, or do I mean, I bought red ones.
Yeah,
you can get them in
Yeah,
red.
they look
So I bought
like
red ones.
the jelly sweeties that
I know.
They look horrific. They look absolutely awful, in a good way. They just maggoty.
Yeah, very much blur, and you add to that blur that they're suddenly becoming quite.
There's no way going to kill them. The Life Leech 2. I mean, I bet they're hitting on the melee 4.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually hit quite hard as well with 40 attacks on 4s. Yeah.
It's not for the Legion, yeah.
Yeah. It's 20 hits. Even against a decently armed cavalry unit, that's going to be it's like 7 damage. And they're going to take 12 in return, if you're lucky. And they're going to go.
Yeah.
You can put two night regiments into them, and they're just going to both bounce off and get eaten by these bloodworms.
They're coming onto a par with the scarecrows now, which is quite something, isn't it? Really.
I think the melee 4 makes them better than scarecrows.
Yeah, it
as
does.
a unit,
melee 5
it's to have
scarecrows.
a viable alternative, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's next?
Well, next up would be the Banshee.
Banshee!
Yeah, Banshee has an added option now of Resonant Chorus, which is a Resonant Chorus 1. Once per turn, after casting Wind Blast or Ethereal spell.
Enthrall.
Okay.
Come here. Come to me.
Correct me.
Come to me.
Enthrall.
That was disturbing, John.
Come to me.
Yeah, it was a bit. Almost as disturbing as that choo that you did.
Immediately cast the same spell again on a different target within 6 inches of the original target. So, following all the usual target selection rules for the 25 points.
So
come to me.
Take a second. Come to me.
Or a second Wind Blast. I quite
like second Wind Blast. Blow stuff all over the place.
It can't be too different. It has to be the same one twice, but still.
Well, Wind Blast or Enthrall.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great. You put Banshee in front of 2 regiments of your opponent's cavalry and go, yeah, come here or go away. We don't want to play with
you.
Yep.
God.
Shoot.
Nice.
Shoot is usually the way it works, isn't it? It's not come to me unless you're stood in the way of an objective. The Reaper Soul Drinker sadly has been brought to attention very much in the last few months and has been amended in points to a cost of 80.
I think that might be that might be in Harpies as well when that came in.
Yeah, it was. It was in Harpies.
Yeah,
it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not overly sad, although I have just made a beautiful dragonflied Soul Reaper Soul Drinker who flutters around just as much as Wingy Kingy does and enjoys himself thoroughly. So we'll see how that one goes in the next season. But yeah, points amended there. Doppelgangers. They've got a small amendment to text, which is that when the units attack, they can opt to use the enemy's profile for melee instead of its own. If it does so, it uses the enemy's unit melee stats, attack, stat, and crushing strength value for the turn instead of its own. Any magical artifacts the enemy unit has are ignored, and the doppelgangers themselves may use a magical artifact as normal if they have one. Apply any bonuses and penalties granted by magical artifacts, spells, terrain, or any other sources after the decision on which stats to use. So basically, they've not changed much. They're just changing the wording there.
Yeah, I think the last bit is the real difference there, isn't it? About the terrain effects and spells and things.
Yes.
It just clarifies the because you get a lot of questions about that. You know, what is included, what isn't included.
Correct. I think this is more to actually please all the fans of Kings of War in the fact that they need to know certain details, and it's being clarified, which is
We probably could have errated that, to be honest. Well,
yeah, it sounds like an errata rather than a
doesn't matter.
or a fact.
Well, it's there. It's there now. So.
Okay. Soul Flayers, they're getting an amendment to 12 attacks.
Yay! Makes them a bit more worth it.
Yeah.
It's about time they actually had a couple more attacks, to be honest.
Well, nine attacks on a flying large cavalry regiment was a bit whiffle in the first place. This might
like them because they have the wind blast as well. I remember George Kirk made an entire army of these, so he's presumably very, 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 very happy with this change.
He probably will be. Interested to see how that one works.
Yeah, I like Soul Flayers, so giving them an extra third of attacks is pretty solid.
That's quite a big boost, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. Huge. And then Shadowhounds, they've finally been brought up to the Foxy status. We're now able to amend the speed to 10.
Yeah.
So that's real bonus.
You can make a very fast army out of the Night Stalkers, can't you?
You absolutely can.
Once we get to formation, you'll know a bit more about that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I must admit, formation's going to be good. Butcher's nerves are going to go up.
That was in Help.
That's a help his rift won this. Due to the thick chaff controversy.
Good old thick chaff. And then we've got a couple of profile replacements and new units. So,
Hang on a second.
So what we started with.
There we go.
Okay.
Horror Rift Weavers.
I must admit, and I don't think anybody really has used the Horror Rift Weavers.
No. So it's completely designed to try and make them viable.
I mean, to be honest, anybody that buys the starter set for the Night Stalkers, because of the way they're packaged, because it's all the Vanguard sprues, you get a plethora of horrors with it. So I think the Horror Rift Weaver was originally designed to sort of soak up those surplus models on the sprues.
Yeah, that's right.
And over the course of the life of the army, it's been realised that really nobody uses them, so everybody just has loads of horrors floating about, and there's been grumbles and stuff. But I think this actually, for a monster, it's not that bad now.
I think the D6 and 6 is absolutely fantastic, to be honest.
Well, also the fact that it's got the spell ward aura now.
What's dread? Dread's useful.
Yeah.
Red's always useful.
Nimble charges.
Mm.
I quite like it. It's a bit of a risky unit, defense 3, 11, 13, but
it's
definitely behind your line.
Well, it's good.
Ward could be cool.
Yeah. Also the fact that it's stealthy and it's only height 2, because it's got no offensive ranged attacks. That doesn't really matter. So the fact that it's going to be sitting behind stuff and the fact that it's a 50 by 50 base means that aura is going to reach out that little bit further rather than just being on an individual.
Yeah, you can get 1 or 2 of these and cover most of your line potentially, and it's not expensive. No, they're nice.
Yeah, and sitting at the back of a unit and putting that dread out there as well. So if you're behind a troop or something like that that's engaged in combat, it's helping out with the extra +1 to the combat resolution or -1 to the nerve.
And obviously the next new unit is Unshira, the Wailing Shadow.
Ooh.
Does anybody actually know how to pronounce that?
No idea.
I'm
Shira.
Everybody I know just calls her Shakira.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we all start wailing if we try and pronounce it correctly.
Oh, right, I see.
Well,
sounds like a skin ointment, Shira. I bathe in Shira. Or Ed Sheeran, yeah.
Ed Sheeran, the Wailing Shadow.
Oh gosh, it's gonna be Ginger. Don't go there.
Yeah, it's Ed Sheeran. That's the new one. Ed Sheeran, the Wailing Shadow.
I like that.
Oh dear.
It's messy, and I must admit I do, and I have really loved the previous Shakira, as it's far easier to use. So I'm interested to try this. I will leave it at that because
I don't think it's changed, does it?
I don't think it's changed. It's a horrific character, to be honest. I'm just thankful that it doesn't have duelist.
Yeah, that would be really, really nasty.
It only takes that magic item, doesn't it? But
you can't put it on one of those on her. But I mean, it's the fact that she can pull stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
and then fight it straight away.
And of course, she can still move 20 before.
I can't take any of your damage until I've actually finished combat. So, I'll pull you in and twat you a couple of times.
Yeah, and then still have dread.
She's lovely. She's so friendly. She just wants to hug you.
And of course,
it's Ed Sheeran.
She got some first turn charges with her as well.
Oh, it's such a lovely little thing, and I've only recently found her and started using her, so I rather like her. I'm going to try her a couple more times before I decide how much I like her, but she's there now.
Fair enough.
Yeah. And then we go to our lovely unit, which has already got a little bit of a thing going on because there's Beast Seeker and Beast Stalker, but I am loving the Doomhounds. Must admit.
Oh yeah, got two different names.
Correct.
It says Beast Stalker Doomhounds on the top there, and then it's in the actual body of the text it says Beast Seeker Doomhounds. Oh,
that's just fluff.
I'm not worried which way it works.
fluff typo.
It's a fluff typo. Fluff typo.
Well, if it's a typo, as long as it comes up in the right formation when I take it on Easy Army, I'll be happy. I must admit, this just pulls in the whole hound side of things. Shadow hounds are now going to be moving faster.
I mean, I'll be honest, when I faced your Shadow Hounds in that little speed tourney that you guys ran, I was impressed with them. Now make them faster and give them Slayer D6 for 15 points. Yeah, sure, why not? It's pretty nice. I like that.
Are they nimble? Yeah. Shadow Hounds. Yeah, so you've got nimble.
Yes. Great.
But they're only height 2 cavalry, aren't they? I think.
No.
No?
I can't remember.
I think they are cavalry.
They are cavalry, yes.
I think they're the same. I think you're right. I think they're the same as wolves.
Yeah, they are. They're basically wolves.
Yeah.
So it's height 2.
Height 2. So height 2 cavalry.
Yeah.
So giving them the Slayer, so you've got stuff that can engage with really big monsters, do a bit of damage, and then because the height 2, anything coming up or follow up really, they're not going to block for shooting or anything like that over the top of it. So go in,
nice.
have a fight, disengage, and let other stuff take over. Because basically they're very fast moving chaff, and then you've got a formation that really makes them shine against monsters. So I think are they TC1?
The TC1 normal.
Yeah, the TC1.
And
and nimble.
Put a few of them about. You can't really stop everything.
No,
they're going to hit very hard. I mean, get one of them in your flank. 10 plus D6 doubled. So potentially 32 attacks.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's going to hurt.
It'll take some using, but I think with some more of the whose name escapes me now, the Soul Flayers that we were just discussing moments ago, the increased attacks on the Soul Flayers.
Yeah,
with their speed, these guys, couple of nasty flying characters, some bloodworm legions just to hold the body of your line.
Just walk them up the middle of the table and just say, "Go on then."
Yeah. While you're dealing with that, everything else is running around taking lumps out of you.
I agree. The buffs to fast stuff in this army excite me because I do like fast armies. And the fast army has now got hittier and faster. The fast elements. It's like, I like that. Yeah,
I think people
they've had the buff of speed and they're getting put together in a formation that gets to use the Slayer melee D6.
Yeah, I like Shadowhounds as we were, but with that little buff and then that formation as well, it's like, well, you might as well run 3 of them. Yeah.
I mean, I must admit, this like John was saying with the Varangir, the changes to the army are making it slightly, making it more all arms orientated, sort of giving it a sort of meta shift towards a different sort of play style. This for the Night Stalkers as well. I think it seems to be that overall it's giving sort of a gentle push in different directions, because a lot of the builds, I mean, not counting the massive hex storm that's going on with everybody saying Lightning Bolt is dead due to hex. You know, they're all saying like Night Stalkers won't be able to function because everybody just hexed the Mind Screeches. And well, how many people are going to have 3 Mind Screeches, and how many people are going to have 3 lots of hex to get rid of them all the time, apart from maybe an Abyssal Dwarf player with hex casters or something like that.
Of course, don't forget, you take that new unit, and suddenly they can only hit them on 5s.
Exactly, yeah. So you've got they're floating around with their aura of Spell Ward, just to give that extra bit of protection. So the hexes are only hitting on 5s, and not. So there's all sorts of things when you actually get into it. Everybody's jumping up and down at the moment with little partial bits, and I mean, I know we're adding to it tonight because we've done 4 armies out of, was it 28? 26, 28 armies now with the halflings.
Yeah.
And the new ones that are coming out, the Rift Forged Orcs they talked about at the Clash of Kings, you know, that so they're really they're really pushing it out. But I think more than anything, it's going to be people finding the combinations with stuff, because they're pulling bits out at the moment, and everybody's shouting about it. The latest one I saw on Fanatics was Scorched Earth. You know, Brock Riders are dead because we're just going to Scorched Earth your units, and you're not going to dare to charge in because you'll be hindered, and you'll have no.
Yeah, great.
All this, but I've got 4 regiments. 4 regiments and 4 troops and Brock Riders. How many spellcasters are you going to have that can do that? And Wingy Kingy goes in and taps him on the shoulder and says, "Right, you're disordered now." You know, everything has a counter. Nothing's going to be world beating. It's all a synergy. The whole point of Kings of War is it's all synergy. And once all the ripples from this book have settled down, everybody will just get onto the nitty gritty of getting their armies built, getting them play tested, and getting them out there on the tournament scene or down the club or wherever they play. Apart from me, I'll just wait for Dan to write some really cool army lists, and then I'll copy them.
What I quite like about this cock is that it doesn't actually invalidate previous builds per se.
No.
Instead, it gives new possibilities.
Exactly.
So you could still run all the things that you could run last time, but now you've got new options. I mean, obviously, we haven't covered the new spells, new artifacts, so that also shakes things up. But you can see just from what we've got over on these 4 armies that actually there's going to be some quite interesting things coming. Quite exciting. I mean, I own 3 out of 4 of those armies, and I'm very keen to try out new versions of all of those armies. It's not that I have to; it's just that it looks fun. Why not? Let's give it a bit of a go.
I think you're absolutely right, Dan. When I looked at the Varangir, I thought, oh, it doesn't really help my list. And I thought, but my list didn't really need a lot of help. It was quite a nasty list as it was. Yeah. But now there was a reason why I went with that list with Varangir, is because that's really where it was not forcing you, but certainly that's the route where you had the most optimum build. Now I've got a list where I can go, right, okay, I can start seeing how a mixed arms list would really work well with the Clansman reduction, the shooter unit that can hide in the woods, the horse raiders flying around the outside, a lord buffing my core. It's really good.
It's like the Chimera as well. I mean, I still like the Chimera, but people reckoned it was a bit expensive these days. Obviously, the Lord on Frostfang is a bit of a bargain. So now, that Lord's come down a little bit, just a bit more viable. So it helps give you other options. Or at least those people who don't care about bringing the latest meta list, if they're bringing some of these units just because they wanted to, well, now they've got a little bit better. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the problem with dragons has always been that the breath attack has been slightly overcosted, because people just don't use it, or more accurately, costed correctly, but people just don't use it to the full effect. So you see things like the Orc Slasher being a bit of a Billy bargain because it doesn't have a breath attack. I remember correctly. But anyway, yeah, really good. So again, don't use these all in without any context. Don't go flipping berserk on fanatics about things happening until you've actually seen all the changes in the lists. There we go, Bob. Put it up. I didn't melt down.
And of course, hopefully, by the time you see this, my hangover will have gone.
What
Yeah.
hangover?
Yes, I hope so. I'm hoping this.
Yes, because this is all in the past.
Yes,
We're speaking
Yeah.
to you from the past.
it was in the past.
Ooh.
This
Or is it still in the
this is
past?
the voice. This is the voice of the past speaking. And what problem? What?
The cock ghost of Christmas past.
Oh dear.
Very much so.
Just-
Like
I don't want to see a
lamp,
ghost.
not the
cock.
rat.
No. I don't pull any other pictures up, Bob.
I have a go. Unfortunately, I didn't get any compromising cock pictures.
Oh, imagine if
No.
we got a photo of Showard that time when he was wandering naked around the toilet.
in the Tibetan curry house in Stockport.
Yeah.
To be fair, Dan, there was somebody recently who was asleep on the toilet floor in the
I was
curry
just
house.
having a nap. It was hard to stand.
He was asleep. He was asleep at the table. His head rested on my shoulder.
Yeah, that's in the video where.
Oh, no.
Actually,
No.
And I'm sure I've got a video with that I could share.
No.
Right, guys,
No.
so,
What happens in curry houses in Stockport stays in curry houses in Stockport.
I think we're pretty much done, aren't we?
Yeah, no,
I think so.
doesn't work that way, Bob. Doesn't work that way.
Let me just sort out my stuff, and we'll say good night on this lovely Friday night when this is actually going to go out. And thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe and hit the little bell so you get notifications of whenever any of our videos come out. Everything helps. Thank you very much.